A billionaire's daughter chose a farmer over diamonds, mansions, and money, but love comes with a price. Imagine this: a poor farmer stands at a billionaire's dinner table, face to face with the furious father of the woman he loves. The father slams his fist and shouts, "You'll never be enough for my daughter." But the farmer doesn't back down. He looks him straight in the eye and says, "I may not have your billions, but I can give her something you never could, true loyalty and love that will never break." The room falls silent, and what happens next will shock you. Before we continue, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more stories like this. The morning sun rose gently over the quiet countryside, bathing the rolling fields in a golden glow. Birds chirped on the fences, and the sweet scent of freshly tilled soil drifted through the air. For Nathan Wood, this was life, a simple rhythm of working the land, feeding his animals, and watching nature's seasons unfold. Nathan wiped the sweat off his forehead as he leaned against the wooden handle of his hoe. He had been up since dawn, tending to his tomato plants. His hands were calloused, his shirt stained with soil, but his eyes shone with quiet determination. Nathan wasn't rich, but he was proud. Everything on this land had been earned with sweat, sacrifice, and long days under the sun. As he straightened, he noticed a sleek black car rolling slowly down the dusty road that led to his farm. It was a sight out of place among the rusty tractors and horse-drawn wagons of the village. The car's shiny body reflected the sunlight like a mirror. Nathan raised an eyebrow. Visitors like that rarely came here. The car came to a halt near the wooden gate. Out stepped a young woman in a flowing white dress, her hair tied loosely in a ponytail. She looked lost, almost unsure of where she was. Nathan froze for a moment, staring. She was beautiful in a way that seemed untouched by the harshness of the world. Smooth skin, warm brown eyes, and a kind of elegance he had only ever seen in magazines. The woman shaded her eyes with her hand and called out softly, "Excuse me. Hi, could you help me?" Nathan walked closer, brushing dirt off his palms onto his jeans. "Sure. You're not from around here, are you?" His voice carried curiosity but also kindness. She smiled faintly. "You could tell that quickly." Nathan chuckled. Well, the heels gave it away. Nobody in this village wears heels on a dusty road. She looked down at her shoes and laughed lightly. "You're right. I wasn't planning to walk this far, but my driver got a little lost. I just wanted some fresh air away from the city." Nathan nodded slowly. "The city, huh? You came to the right place. Out here, the air's about as fresh as you'll find." He extended his hand, rough from years of farm work. "Nathan Wood." She hesitated, then took his hand. Her palm was soft against his calloused skin. Stephanie Evans. The name struck something in Nathan's mind. Evans. He had heard that name before. Wasn't Evans the billionaire who owned half the companies in the state? But he brushed the thought aside. Names didn't matter here. What mattered was the genuine smile in front of him. Stephanie looked around the farm. "It's peaceful here. So different from what I'm used to." "And what are you used to?" Nathan asked. She sighed. "Crowded boardrooms, endless meetings, people who only smile when they want something. My father runs a very large company. My life is complicated." Nathan leaned on the wooden fence. "Well, here, things aren't complicated. You plant a seed, you water it, you take care of it, and one day, it grows. No tricks, no schemes. Just patience and work." Stephanie tilted her head, watching him. There was something refreshing in the way he spoke, so direct, so honest. "That sounds nice. I wish life could always be that simple." For a moment, they just stood there, the silence broken only by the sound of birds and the distant moo of a cow. Nathan noticed she seemed at ease, as if the weight she carried in the city had lifted just by stepping onto the farm. "You want to see something?" Nathan asked suddenly. "Sure," Stephanie replied, curiosity lighting her face. He led her to the back of the farm, where rows of sunflowers stretched high, their golden heads swaying in the breeze. Stephanie gasped softly. "They're beautiful." "They always turn toward the sun," Nathan said. "Even on cloudy days, they keep looking for the light. That's how I try to live too." Stephanie turned to him, her eyes lingering longer than before. "You speak differently than most people I know." Nathan smiled faintly. "That's because I don't know how to pretend." They both laughed softly, and for a moment, the world outside didn't exist. Just a farmer and a billionaire's daughter, standing in a field of sunflowers, caught in a connection neither of them had expected. Stephanie returned the next weekend. She didn't tell her father or her friends. This was her secret escape. She had instructed her driver to stop at the edge of the village so she could walk the rest of the way, breathing in the quiet countryside air. Nathan was by the barn, fixing a broken wooden cart when he saw her approaching. His heart did something strange, a small leap he didn't want to admit. He quickly set down his hammer and walked over. "You came back," Nathan said, trying to sound casual, though his lips betrayed a smile. Stephanie nodded. "I couldn't stop thinking about this place. About the peace here. And about you showing me those sunflowers." Nathan rubbed the back of his neck. "Well, the sunflowers haven't gone anywhere. They'll be waiting for you every time." Stephanie laughed. "Then maybe I'll keep coming back." They walked side by side along the farm. Nathan showed her the chicken coop, where hens clucked noisily, and Stephanie giggled when one of the chickens tried to peck at her shoes. He showed her the small apple orchard, where he picked one and handed it to her. "Try this," Nathan said. "It's sweeter than anything you'll buy in a supermarket." She bit into it, her eyes widening. "Wow, you weren't kidding. This is amazing." "That's because it's grown with care, not chemicals," Nathan said proudly. As the afternoon went on, they sat beneath the shade of a tree, the warm breeze rustling the leaves. Stephanie found herself talking more than she expected, about the pressure of being Gregory Evans' daughter, about how people only saw her father's money when they looked at her, about how lonely it sometimes felt despite the luxury. "I know I shouldn't complain," she said softly, plucking grass from the ground. "I have everything people dream of, cars, mansions, clothes. But sometimes I feel like I have nothing real. No one talks to me without wanting something. No one just sees me." Nathan looked at her quietly, then said, "Well, I see you. Just Stephanie. Not Evan's daughter. Just you." Her eyes met his, and for a moment, she felt something stir in her chest, a warmth she hadn't felt in a long time. "Thank you, Nathan." He shrugged lightly. "It's the truth." The air grew quiet again, filled only with the buzz of cicadas. Stephanie leaned back against the tree, closing her eyes. "I feel free here. Like I can breathe." "That's how it should be," Nathan said softly, watching her. He wasn't used to feelings like this. His life had been about crops and cattle, not stolen glances and beating hearts. But something about Stephanie felt different, like she belonged here, even though she clearly didn't. Later, as the sun began to set, Stephanie stood reluctantly. "I should get back before anyone notices I'm gone." Nathan nodded, trying not to show his disappointment. "Will you come back again?" She smiled. "If you don't mind." "I wouldn't mind at all," Nathan said quickly, then caught himself. "I mean, the farm doesn't mind visitors." Stephanie laughed, shaking her head. "You're terrible at hiding your thoughts." He laughed too, scratching his head. "Guess I am." As she walked toward the road, she turned back once more. "Goodbye, Nathan." "Goodbye, Stephanie," he replied, watching her go, his heart strangely heavy. When her car finally disappeared down the road, Nathan leaned against the fence, staring at the horizon. He knew one thing for certain. Life was about to get complicated in ways he never imagined. And yet, he couldn't bring himself to regret it. Because in 2 simple meetings, Stephanie Evans had planted something inside him. Something that felt very much like the beginning of love. The following weekend, Stephanie came again, her heart light with excitement. The farm had quickly become her safe place, and Nathan had become the one person she looked forward to seeing. She arrived in a simple floral dress this time, her hair loose and blowing with the countryside wind. Nathan was at the barn when she appeared. His face broke into a smile. "I was wondering if you'd show up." "I told you I would," Stephanie said, teasing. "Besides, who else is going to show me around a farm?" "You're not bad at holding a chicken anymore," Nathan joked. She laughed, covering her mouth. "I'm learning." But while Stephanie was enjoying her afternoons in the village, her father was growing restless. Gregory Evans, a tall man in his late 50s with sharp blue eyes and a commanding voice, was used to being in control. He had built Evans Enterprises from the ground up, and everything about his life screamed power. When he noticed his daughter slipping away from her usual circle of friends and events, suspicion crept in. One evening at their mansion, Gregory stood by the fireplace with a glass of whiskey. "Stephanie, where have you been disappearing to every weekend?" he asked, his tone casual but his eyes hard. Stephanie hesitated. She had thought about lying, but her father always saw through her. I've been going to the countryside. It helps me breathe, Dad." Gregory raised an eyebrow. "The countryside? Why would you waste your time in that dusty place?" Her voice softened but carried courage. "Because I met someone there." The glass paused halfway to his lips. "Someone? Who?" "A man named Nathan Wood. He's a farmer," she said firmly. Gregory slowly set his glass down, his jaw tightening. "A farmer?" The word came out like poison. "You, my daughter, have been associating with a common farmer." Stephanie took a deep breath. "He's not common, Dad. He's kind, genuine, and honest. Things money can't buy." Gregory's face hardened. "Nonsense. That boy is beneath you. He wants one thing, your last name and your inheritance." Stephanie shook her head. "No. You don't know him." "And I don't want to," Gregory snapped. "You will stop seeing him immediately. Do you understand?" Her eyes filled with tears, but she stood tall. "I can't. I care about him." Gregory slammed his hand against the mantelpiece, his voice thunderous. "Enough. You are an Evans. You will not throw away your future for a dirt-covered dreamer." Stephanie flinched but didn't back down. "Then maybe being an Evans doesn't mean what I thought it did." She turned and stormed out, leaving Gregory trembling with rage. He wasn't a man used to losing control, especially not over his daughter. Later that night, Stephanie sat on her bed, hugging her knees. Her heart ached. She wanted Nathan, but she also feared her father's wrath. Could Nathan ever survive the storm Gregory Evans was about to unleash? Meanwhile, in the quiet of his farmhouse, Nathan sat by the window, gazing at the stars. He knew deep down that Stephanie's world and his own would eventually clash. But he hadn't expected it so soon. While Gregory plotted, another storm was brewing. Michael King, the son of a wealthy businessman, had been circling Stephanie for years. Handsome, charming on the outside but arrogant to the core, Michael had always assumed Stephanie would be his one day. They belonged to the same circles: luxury parties, charity events, glamorous holidays. He liked to think she was destined to marry him. When Michael heard whispers that Stephanie was spending time with someone in the countryside, his curiosity turned into anger. At a business dinner, he cornered Gregory. "Mr. Evans," Michael said smoothly, his smile not reaching his eyes, "I've been hearing rumors. Something about Stephanie and a farmer." Gregory's jaw tightened. "You've heard correctly. And it ends now." Michael leaned forward. "With your permission, I'll handle it. That boy won't stand a chance." Gregory studied him for a moment. "You're ambitious, Michael. But remember, Stephanie is my daughter. I want her to marry into power, not shame. If you can get rid of this Nathan Wood, you'll have my blessing." Michael's lips curved into a sly grin. "Consider it done." The following weekend, when Stephanie went to the farm, Michael decided to follow. He drove his expensive car through the dusty village roads until he spotted her laughing with Nathan under the apple trees. His blood boiled at the sight. He stepped out, adjusting his expensive blazer. Well, so the rumors were true. Stephanie turned, shock flooding her face. Michael, what are you doing here? Michael ignored her and walked up to Nathan, his tone dripping with disdain. So, you're the famous Nathan Wood. The farmer who thinks he can steal a billionaire's daughter. Nathan stood tall, though his brows furrowed. I don't know who you are, but you should leave. Michael chuckled darkly. You don't know who I am? Typical. I'm Michael King. My family owns King Enterprises. Unlike you, I don't play with dirt. Nathan clenched his fists but kept calm. Maybe you should try it sometime. You'd learn what real work feels like. Stephanie stepped between them. Michael, stop. This isn't your business. Michael's eyes narrowed. It is when you're throwing your life away on a nobody. Nathan's voice grew firm. I may not have money, but I'd never treat her like a prize to be won. She's not some trophy for your ego. Stephanie's heart swelled with pride at his words, but Michael only smirked. Enjoy your little fantasy, Wood. But remember, fairy tales don't last. Reality always wins. And reality is, Stephanie belongs with people like me. Not with you. With that, Michael turned sharply, dust flying as he sped away in his car. Stephanie turned to Nathan, her voice trembling. I'm so sorry. I didn't know he would come. Nathan placed a hand gently on her shoulder. It's not your fault. But he's right about one thing, this won't be easy. Tears welled in her eyes. Nathan, I don't care about easy. I just want you. Nathan's heart thudded in his chest. He had never been someone's choice over wealth, power, and comfort. He pulled her into a soft embrace. Then we'll face it together. But as they held each other beneath the fading light of the apple orchard, neither of them knew just how far Gregory Evans and Michael King were willing to go. Nathan's simple life had been shaken, and Stephanie's heart was now caught in the middle of a war between love and power. And the battle had only just begun. The morning sun was bright, but Nathan Wood's heart felt heavy. Ever since Michael King's visit to the farm, he sensed trouble brewing. Michael wasn't the type of man to let go easily. And behind Michael stood Gregory Evans, a man powerful enough to destroy anyone who dared cross him. Stephanie, however, continued to visit Nathan, determined to keep their connection alive. But she noticed the way villagers began whispering whenever she passed. Conversations stopped abruptly as she walked by. People who had always been friendly to Nathan suddenly kept their distance. One afternoon, while Nathan was fixing the broken fence, an older villager, Mr. Harris, approached him hesitantly. Nathan, Mr. Harris said quietly, scratching the back of his neck. You're a good lad, but people are talking. Nathan frowned. Talking about what? About you and that rich girl, Mr. Harris muttered. They're saying you're just after her money. That you're using her to get out of this life. Nathan's face stiffened. That's not true. You know me better than that. I do, Mr. Harris said gently. But rumors spread fast. And the people spreading them? They're powerful. Be careful, son. Nathan nodded grimly as the old man walked away. He knew exactly who was behind the whispers, Michael King. Meanwhile, in the Evans mansion, Gregory sat in his study, scrolling through his tablet. Headlines were already making their way online. Farmer caught wooing billionaire's daughter. Is he after love or money? Evans' heiress spotted in countryside with mysterious man. Gregory's lips curled into a thin smile. The plan was working. His influence over the press ensured the story was twisted exactly as he wanted. If he couldn't forbid Stephanie with his authority, he would crush Nathan with public shame. Michael King entered, carrying a smug expression. The villagers are already doubting him. By next week, No one will even want to buy his crops. Gregory looked up. Good. Let him feel the weight of what it means to challenge the Evans family. Michael chuckled. Stephanie will soon realize that this farm boy can't survive our world. Later that evening, Stephanie arrived at the farm, her face pale with worry. She carried a folded newspaper in her hand. Nathan noticed the unease in her eyes immediately. "What's wrong?" he asked. She handed him the newspaper. Nathan unfolded it and read the headline. Stephanie Evans courting disaster. Farmer boy targets heiress. The article painted him as a schemer, someone desperate to climb into wealth by manipulating an innocent young woman. Nathan's hands trembled with anger. "This is all lies," he muttered. "I would never." "I know," Stephanie interrupted quickly, her voice soft but firm. "I know who you are, Nathan. You don't have to explain." Nathan's chest tightened at her faith in him. "But the world doesn't know. They'll only believe what they are told." Stephanie's eyes glistened. "Then let them talk. I don't care about the world. I care about you." Nathan reached out, brushing his thumb against her cheek. "Stephanie, you're risking everything for me." She smiled faintly. "Some things are worth the risk." For a moment, the weight of the rumors melted away as their hands intertwined. But outside the quiet farm, the storm of betrayal was only getting stronger. Days turned into weeks, and the attacks on Nathan didn't stop. His produce sales dropped. People whispered louder. Some customers even avoided his stall in the village market. It wasn't just rumors anymore. One morning, Nathan found his barn vandalized, words painted in red across the wooden door, "Gold digger." He clenched his fists, fury surging through him. But instead of lashing out, he worked harder, repairing the barn, cleaning the mess. He refused to let them break him. Meanwhile, Gregory Evans decided it was time to deal with Nathan directly. One afternoon, as Nathan finished unloading hay, a sleek black car pulled up at the farm. The driver opened the door, and out stepped Gregory himself, dressed in an expensive suit that seemed out of place in the dusty countryside. Nathan wiped his hands on his jeans, standing tall. "Mr. Evans." Gregory's gaze was cold, piercing. "So, you're Nathan Wood, the farmer who thinks he can win my daughter's heart." Nathan didn't flinch. "I don't just think it, sir. I love her." Gregory's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice controlled. "You're a bold young man. But let's be realistic. You cannot give Stephanie the life she deserves. Luxury, security, influence, none of that exists here." Nathan's eyes hardened. "Maybe not. But I can give her honesty, loyalty, and love. Things money can't buy." Gregory scoffed. "Love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't protect her when the world turns against her." He pulled out a sleek envelope and held it out. "Here. Take this, and disappear. It's more money than you'll earn in a lifetime." Nathan glanced at the envelope but didn't touch it. His voice was steady. "I'm not for sale. And neither is Stephanie." Gregory's face darkened. "Don't be foolish. Men like you don't get happy endings with women like her. Take the money, or you'll regret it." Nathan stepped forward, his voice firm. "I would rather be poor and honest than rich and dishonorable. I won't leave her." Unbeknownst to them, Stephanie had arrived at the farm early and was standing near the barn, overhearing the conversation. Her heart pounded as tears welled in her eyes. She had just witnessed Nathan refuse a fortune, all because of her. When Gregory stormed off in fury, Stephanie rushed toward Nathan. "Nathan! I heard everything." Nathan turned, surprised. "Stephanie!" She threw her arms around him, burying her face against his chest. "You refused him. You could have taken the money, but you didn't." Nathan held her tightly. "Because you're worth more than any amount of money. I don't want your father's fortune. I just want you." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I love you, Nathan." For the first time, Nathan let the words slip from his heart. I love you too, Stephanie. More than I can explain. They stood in each other's arms as the evening sun bathed the farm in golden light. For a moment, the world outside didn't exist. But neither of them knew that this was only the beginning. Gregory Evans was not a man who accepted defeat. And Michael King was still waiting in the shadows, plotting his next move. The breaking point had come, but the real battle for their love was yet to begin. Stephanie sat on the edge of the grand Evans mansion balcony, staring out at the glittering city lights below. Her world looked perfect on the outside, wealth, comfort, prestige, but inside, her heart was heavy with fear. Every dinner with her father Gregory Evans turned into an interrogation, and her mother Diana had started throwing subtle insults at Nathan whenever he came around. The tension was growing unbearable. Nathan, on the other hand, felt like he was drowning. He had gone from tending crops on his family's farmland to navigating high-class society events where people whispered behind his back. Whenever he entered a room with Stephanie, he could feel the stares and hear the low chuckles. That's the farmer. She must be joking. One night, Stephanie found Nathan sitting outside the mansion gardens, his hands buried in his hair. Nathan, she whispered, approaching him, why are you sitting out here in the dark? He lifted his face, and she could see the exhaustion in his eyes. Because it's the only place I can breathe. Her chest tightened. Tell me what's on your mind. He laughed bitterly. Your father looks at me like I'm dirt under his shoe. Your mother acts like I'm invisible. Even the maids whisper about me. Stephanie, I don't fit in here. I feel like I'm being crushed every single day. Stephanie knelt beside him, placing her hands on his. Nathan, look at me. You don't have to be like them. You don't have to prove yourself with money or fancy clothes. I fell in love with the man who worked the soil with his hands, the man who looked at the sunrise and believed tomorrow would be better. That's the man I love. Tears burned in his eyes, but he shook his head. Love isn't enough when the world keeps pushing us down. I can't keep letting them make me feel like less than a man. Stephanie squeezed his hand tighter. Then don't let them. We'll stand together. If they push, we push back. Just as Nathan was about to reply, a voice cut through the night. Well, isn't this romantic? Both turned sharply. Michael King stood there in a sleek black suit, smirking as though he owned the world. He had shown up uninvited, his eyes glinting with malice. What are you doing here? Stephanie snapped, rising to her feet. Michael adjusted his cufflinks, his smile widening. Relax, princess. I just came to check on you. After all, your parents and I share the same concern, whether this little fairytale of yours is worth the embarrassment it's causing. Nathan stood, anger flashing across his face. Leave, Michael. You've got no business here. Michael chuckled. On the contrary, I have every business. You see, Stephanie, you're throwing away everything, your family name, your reputation, for him. And for what? A man who smells like soil and sweat. Nathan's fists clenched, his jaw tightening. Say another word, and you'll regret it. Michael stepped closer, his voice low and venomous. You'll never be good enough for her. Men like you don't belong in this world. Eventually, she'll realize it too. Stephanie quickly stepped between them. Stop it, both of you. She glared at Michael. I don't care what you think. I don't care what anyone thinks. I chose Nathan, and that's final. Now leave before I call security. Michael's smirk faltered for just a moment, but he quickly regained his composure. Fine. But mark my words, Stephanie, this little love story will end in tears. As he walked away, Nathan's chest heaved with rage. Stephanie placed her hand on his cheek, forcing him to look at her. Don't listen to him, she whispered. But Nathan's heart was heavy. Deep inside, Michael's words had found their mark. The next morning, Nathan went back to his small farmhouse for some air. He missed the quiet hum of the countryside, the smell of fresh earth, and the sense of belonging. Here, nobody judged him for being just a farmer. Stephanie drove down later that day, desperate to talk. She found him working in the fields, sweat dripping down his brow as he swung a hoe into the soil. "Nathan," she called softly. He stopped, leaning on the handle, breathing heavily. "You shouldn't be here. Your parents will explode if they find out." She walked toward him, her sundress swaying with the breeze. "I don't care. Nathan, please talk to me. You've been so distant." He dropped the hoe and turned to her, frustration spilling from his voice. "Because I don't know how much longer I can do this, Stephanie. I feel like I'm dragging you down. Michael is right about one thing. I'll never be good enough for you in your parents' eyes. Maybe in yours too." Her eyes widened in shock. "How can you even say that? Nathan, you are everything to me." He shook his head. "And yet I can't give you the life you're used to. Fancy dinners, business trips, luxury vacations, all I can offer you is this." He gestured to the field. "A life of hard work and simple meals. Do you really think you'll be happy with that forever?" Stephanie stepped forward, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Nathan Wood, listen to me. I don't care about money. I don't care about status. I want you. The man who wipes sweat from his brow, the man who works with his hands, the man who holds me like I'm his entire world. That's the life I want." Nathan stared at her, torn between love and fear. His heart ached with how much he wanted to believe her. Suddenly, the crunch of tires on gravel interrupted them. A black luxury car rolled up, and Gregory Evans stepped out, his face hard as stone. Diana followed, her eyes cold and sharp. Stephanie froze. "Dad! Mom!" Gregory's voice was like ice. "Stephanie, get in the car. Now." She shook her head, defiant. "No. I'm staying with Nathan." Gregory's jaw tightened. "Enough of this nonsense. You're humiliating our family name with this relationship. Do you have any idea what people are saying?" "I don't care what people are saying." Stephanie cried. "I love him, and nothing you say will change that." Diana sneered. "Love? You think love will feed you, protect you, secure your future? This farmer can't even stand in the same room as our world without looking like a lost puppy." Nathan's fists clenched, but he forced himself to stay calm. "With all due respect, Mrs. Evans, I may not have money, but I have integrity. I love your daughter more than anything in this world, and I'd rather die than hurt her." Gregory's voice rose, sharp and commanding. "That's enough. Stephanie, if you walk away with him now, don't bother coming back. You'll no longer be welcome in this family." The words cut through the air like knives. Stephanie's eyes filled with tears as she looked between her parents and Nathan. Her hands trembled, her heart torn in two. Nathan whispered, "Stephanie, don't do this for me. If staying with your family makes you happy, then—" "No," she cried, clutching his arm. "I won't let them tear us apart. I'd rather have a simple life with you than a lonely life in a mansion." Gregory's face turned red with fury. "You're making a mistake you'll regret forever." Stephanie's voice shook but was steady. "Maybe. But it's my mistake to make." Silence fell over the field. The wind rustled through the crops, carrying with it the weight of a choice that would change everything. Nathan held her hand tightly, his heart pounding with both fear and pride. Stephanie had chosen him, but at what cost? As the Evanses stormed back into their car and sped off, dust rising in their wake, Nathan whispered, "Stephanie, they'll never forgive you for this." She leaned her head on his shoulder, tears wetting his shirt. "Then we'll build a new family, one that's ours. As long as I have you, Nathan, I'll be fine." But deep inside, Nathan knew the war was far from over. The battle lines had just been drawn, and the real storm was yet to come. The storm inside the Evans mansion had not settled. Gregory Evans had spent sleepless nights thinking of the shame Nathan Wood's presence brought to his empire. His wife, Diana Collins, had begun avoiding social gatherings because of whispers and judgmental looks. Stephanie Evans, however, stood strong by Nathan's side, her love only deepening as the days grew darker. But everyone has a breaking point. One evening, Stephanie came home from one of her father's company events, her eyes red from holding back tears. She had begged Gregory to let Nathan attend, but he refused. Instead, Nathan stayed behind, tending to the small vegetable garden he had started at the back of their house. Stephanie found him crouched down, dirt on his hands, sweat on his brow, his shirt clinging to him. "Nathan," her voice cracked as she called. He looked up, smiling softly. "You're home. How was the event?" Stephanie couldn't hold it anymore. She dropped her purse on the ground and threw herself into his arms. "They laughed at me, Nathan. They laughed at us. They said I married a farmer because I couldn't get anyone else." Nathan stiffened, then slowly held her tighter. "Steph, don't cry. Please. You're stronger than their words." She pulled away, tears streaking her face. "But why should I be the one to fight all the time? Why can't they see you for the man you are? Why can't my father understand that love is worth more than his billions?" Nathan's chest tightened. He had endured insults, humiliation, and rejection, but seeing Stephanie break down tore him apart. He wanted to fight for her, but what weapon did a farmer have against billionaires? His bare hands and honest heart suddenly felt so small. "Maybe they're right," Nathan whispered, his voice heavy. Stephanie's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "Maybe you deserve more. Maybe you deserve someone who won't make you cry every time you walk into a room." He looked away, swallowing the lump in his throat. "I love you more than my own life, but love doesn't seem enough here." Stephanie grabbed his face with both hands, forcing him to look at her. "Don't you dare say that, Nathan Wood. You are more than enough for me. You're the only thing that makes sense in this whole fake world." Nathan stared at her, torn between love and despair. "And if your father forces you to choose?" Stephanie's voice hardened, fierce with determination. "Then I will choose you every single time." But even as she said it, Nathan saw the pain in her eyes. He knew the battle wasn't over, and soon, the world would push them harder than ever before. The next week, Gregory Evans made his move. He invited Nathan to his office, a skyscraper towering above the city, far removed from the humble fields Nathan once worked. Nathan arrived wearing his best shirt, freshly ironed by Stephanie, and a borrowed tie. He looked out of place the moment he stepped into the glass-walled office. Gregory sat behind a polished mahogany desk, his suit immaculate. "Sit down," he said coldly. Nathan obeyed. Gregory leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Nathan, I'll make this simple. Leave my daughter. Today. I'll write you a check that will cover your family for generations. All you have to do is walk away." Nathan clenched his fists. "You think I'm with Stephanie because of money?" "I think you're with her because she doesn't know better," Gregory sneered. "You'll drag her down into the mud with you. She'll regret it for the rest of her life." Nathan's jaw tightened. "Stephanie is not a child. She chose me. And I chose her. Not your money." Gregory's lips curved into a thin smile. "I expected that answer. Which is why, if you don't take my offer, I will destroy you. I'll make sure no door opens for you in this city. I'll make sure Stephanie sees the worst consequences of her rebellion." Nathan stood, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "Do what you want to me. But don't threaten her." Gregory's voice turned to ice. "Then prove you're a man. Leave her. If you love her, set her free." Nathan walked out of the skyscraper with his head held high, but inside, his soul was breaking. That night, he couldn't sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, Stephanie's peaceful face beside him. He wondered, was Gregory right? Was his presence destroying her life? The storm finally reached its peak 2 days later. Gregory invited Stephanie to a family dinner at the Evans mansion. Nathan came along, despite Gregory's cold stares. Michael King was also there, dressed in a crisp tuxedo, smiling like a predator. Diana Collins sat at the table, tense and silent, as though she expected an explosion. Dinner began stiffly. Stephanie tried to make small talk, Nathan answered politely, but Gregory cut in sharply every time. Finally, Michael leaned forward, placing his glass of wine down. "Stephanie," he said with a smooth voice, "you don't have to do this. You don't have to live like this. You and I both know you deserve better." Stephanie's eyes hardened. "Better doesn't mean richer, Michael. I love Nathan." Michael smirked. "Love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't win respect in this world." Nathan finally spoke, his voice calm but firm. "Respect isn't bought with money, Michael. It's earned by character." Gregory slammed his hand on the table. "Enough. Nathan, you don't belong here. You never will. If you truly love my daughter, you will walk away and save her from this humiliation." Stephanie shot up from her chair, trembling with anger. "Father, stop. Why can't you see he's the best thing that ever happened to me? Do you think I care about the whispers, the stares, the gossip? None of that matters to me. What matters is that Nathan loves me without conditions. Can you say the same about Michael?" Her words pierced the room. Silence followed, heavy and suffocating. Even Diana looked down, ashamed. Nathan rose slowly, taking Stephanie's hand. "Mr. Evans, I can't compete with your billions. I can't give Stephanie the life of luxury you dream for her. But I can give her loyalty. I can give her honesty. I can give her a man who would rather die than see her cry. If that's not enough for you, then I'm sorry, but it's enough for us." Tears welled in Stephanie's eyes as she squeezed his hand. "Always." Gregory's face darkened. For a moment, it seemed he would explode again. But something in Nathan's voice, the raw truth, the unshakable devotion, struck a chord he couldn't ignore. He thought of his own youth, of the dreams he once had before money consumed his life. He saw in Nathan the man he once was, before greed hardened his heart. Finally, Gregory leaned back in his chair, silent. The room waited for his judgment. Diana was the first to speak, softly but firmly. "Gregory, can't you see? She's happy. Isn't that what matters?" Michael clenched his fists, glaring at Nathan. But it was over. Gregory finally let out a long breath and said, "If she chooses you, then so be it." Stephanie gasped, her heart swelling. Nathan bowed his head slightly. "Thank you, sir." For the first time, Gregory looked at Nathan not as a farmer, but as a man. Months later, Nathan and Stephanie stood in their modest farmhouse, now transformed into a warm and welcoming home. The garden bloomed, filled with colors and life. Stephanie, no longer the billionaire's caged daughter, laughed freely as she helped Nathan with the harvest. Gregory even visited sometimes, slowly warming to the man he once despised. Love had not erased the differences between their worlds, but it had built a bridge strong enough to stand against them. And as Nathan held Stephanie's hand under the open sky, he whispered, "They said love wasn't enough, but for us, it was everything." Stephanie smiled, her eyes shining with tears. "Always everything." "So, do you think love can really conquer power, wealth, and family pressure? Or was this farmer just chasing an impossible dream? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories of love, betrayal, and shocking twists, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell, because the next story might just leave you speechless.